Mike, turn your games down.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the interview episode of Games My Mom Found. I am Mike Albertin, and who's with me tonight?
Hi, I'm Anna, and I'm with Kapia A. It's just gotten released on Steam and GOG.
And it's a venture game that I had never... But I've been following you because I saw you were a part of the same group, Classic Gamers Guild, and then after I'd seen that you were making this game, and I've been kind of talking with you, waiting for it to come out.
Oh, I love this group. I love them. I actually have 2 robots that dedicated to their group. You know that? Inside the game. Yeah. One is holding their pledge, and it's like in the form of a book. And the other one looks like one of their admins.
Okay.
Yeah. So
that's cool.
We have close connection with that group.
So for those that don't know, you just released a game called Kapia. Came out, as you said, Steam and GOG, which is an adventure-style game. Kind of like... I like this. I say old school adventure because that's how I look at that genre.
Yeah, because I mean, it is retro. I mean, that's what we were going for. So that's you're correct there.
Okay, so I just didn't want to sound like an insult because it's not. This is only the second adventure game I've ever played before. The first one was Space Quest 5, and
good.
So I stay away.
I'm in a good company. I appreciate that.
It's a genre I stayed away from. So I did just finish a game today, and I did get a code from you. I need to put that in here. But it's very interesting. I enjoy it. I rushed it, but I enjoyed it. I rushed it.
But did playing Kapia change your attitude towards adventure games? That's the big question.
I would say yes. It made me more interested to want to try others. And I mean, considering the last one I played was Space Quest 5, which is, I think it came out, the 90s? Early 90s? It was a much older game. This was a breath of fresh air to kind of just see like the different 1993, but see the different style and just what you can do in an adventure game. Something that I hadn't thought about in a long time.
And I'm so happy that you noticed that, because that's exactly what we were going for. We really wanted to produce something retro, but at the same and classical in the sense of puzzles and general genre. But we wanted to make it user-friendly for someone who doesn't usually play maybe classical games, so we did really update it.
The controls were very friendly. Like, I played with controller and mouse. Because I use controller, when I'm running around, I would use mouse to interact with just like picking up an item because I couldn't get the controller for some reason. I think it was me, for the girl, Remy, to select an item, so I would have to switch the mouse to keyboard and just go back and forth. And it worked better that way for me. But that was me, not the game.
There is a tutorial.
But I didn't have time for that. I didn't watch any of it. I just went through the game quickly to get started and then kept playing it. That's what happens when you record a lot.
I even have a joke about it inside the game where Stefan says that he hates reading manuals.
I didn't read any manuals.
Oh, of course.
I did see that you throughout, early in the game and throughout the game, I saw that you had a lot of different text explaining the backstory of what's going on.
Yeah.
I didn't read it, but I looked at it.
Well, it had pictures in it, so it was probably...
It was really cool. Because at first I was just okay. I'm like, okay, I didn't know if I was going to have enough time to finish it for our interview because I just started it last night, and I'm going through it, and I was starting it was starting to really grab my attention early on, because you mentioned it right at the beginning. There's a war going on between East and West,
right?
And I don't know if this was because I know you were in Europe, correct?
Yes.
And what went through, I'm a big World War II fan, and in general, I like history a lot. And when I kept hearing East and West, I kept thinking of the Soviet Union. I didn't know if that was actually what you guys are pulling from, since you're in an area that would have been closer to that conflict back in the day.
Well, what can I say about this? So we have bionicle and we have mechanical parts of the world. So we won't be getting personal there, but I will let players decide what they think about it. But I mean, Kapia is a story of... it has a world of their own. So I can't say that it's based on something. But of course, we all live in the same universe, and I like history as well. So of course, you will be noticing, some similarities here and there.
Okay, that's just something that I picked up. But I did like how you had, example, the cat that you meet pretty early on. That was a cat inside a robot that was also a jerk, which... It's a cat. That was very interesting to me. You made me laugh a lot with that one.
Oh, that's good. That's good. We like funny. We like it.
Took a little bit to get the puzzle because my brain's not used to adventure games in general, so I don't approach them right.
You need experience with that. You need to know how to solve mechanics. People who are experienced in solving puzzles. I mean, who play them a lot, they can just go through Kapia on their own without hints. And we do have a hint system, but I mean, they just don't use it and they go through in like 5.5 hours. But I mean, others who are not used to it, I mean, they can take up to 20 easily. I've seen that. And I mean, they're still enjoying it, so that's good.
I would usually run around and try to explore things and then I would look up what to do. But I enjoy it. You did a good job. Like, the hint system was very friendly and very nice to, had a counter, and I liked that. Like, I thought, like, it was a good way. I mean, there were a couple of times when I still couldn't figure out what the hints, and that wasn't on the game. Just like, the hint, everything that you needed was there. Like, you guys did a good job of having to show what you could interact with and being in an area. It wasn't anything obtuse like I've heard about in some adventure games where, oh, you didn't grab this item or now you're dead and you gotta start your save over. Like, I think some of the Quest for Glories might do that, I feel like. I've heard that. And you didn't have anything like that. Well, it's modern game.
No. Yeah, it's a modern game. We don't do that. And we don't have too many objects as well. I mean, it's quite logical. We don't run into something that's completely out of this world or moon.
It was nice that the puzzles all made sense. I mean, it might have taken me longer than I would have liked at times, so I wasn't cheating, but it did make sense. And I was also really impressed with, like, the character designs, too, and, like, the whole war aspect of it. I thought Remy was a great character, and there was also, like, the darkness to it that I didn't, not Remy, but just the world itself, like, where she has a biology, and that kind of hit me a little bit later on when it's like, okay, she, because early on in the house, you see other arms, like, oh, I'll get a bigger arm someday, and I'm like, where people are part mechanical. I thought that was very interesting what you guys did.
Oh yeah, I really like her, and I like Stefan as well. I think they really complement each other, because they're really different, two really different characters, but the way they work together, and you notice how their relationship clicks, in between throughout the game. I really like how it turned out, and I hope that people will appreciate it as well.
Sure, people will. The relationship between them is also one thing that kept me going. Like, at first, I was just kind of playing through the game, trying to experience what I could before our talk. And as it kept going, I was getting very invested in the story. Like, you had a lot of, well, I'm not going to spoil, but just you had a lot of elements that made me very interested in the world that was going on. Like, I got very interested in what was happening.
It's probably the biggest story, probably the part. I'm sorry, I know that we don't want to spoil, but I, as a developer, I demand. Yes, I should probably do it off camera, right? It's probably the story that Stefan tells, or that Rennie tells. Okay, give me this much information. Won't spoil anything.
I would say for the dark stuff, like some of the stuff that Stefan's saying about the comments about the daughter and things of that nature in the world that he's in. It felt kind of very dark, even though everything's very colorful and very lively. You have, like, this darkness of what really happened in your world. Right. And I thought that kept me going too.
Right. Okay, cool. Thank you for the feedback. I really appreciate it.
One of the questions I wanted to ask you is, what inspired you guys to start this project? I know you did this with your husband. Right.
Well, we always wanted to have this as a career, and this was, absolutely a love project for us. We really did invest a lot into it, and that's something that we wanted to do, and that's something that we want to continue doing. We want to make more games, and we want to continue this as a career. So it was very natural for us to, go with an adventure, because we're both fans of the adventure genre. So that's probably how it all began. But yeah, now that Kapia is out there, it's time to think, of continuing with something else. And it's kind of cool.
Was this the first game that you guys have created?
Yes, that's our first game.
Okay. And how long did it take you guys to working on this game?
Forever. 6 years, but who counts?
Hey, it's out there now. That's normal. From what I...
Yeah. Oh, it did take it did take a learning curve to conquer, but one learning curve or two learning curves to conquer, but we did make it. So, and besides, we went through Kickstarter, so that helped us a lot, because we're a completely indie team. We don't have a publisher, so that's completely, everything is on us. So Kickstarter helped us a lot, and now we can continue with this model.
Did the Kickstarter go better than you expected?
I don't know if it went better than we expected. I think it was pretty much in the range of what we expected, because we reached we got more than we had on our base goal.
And did you guys have a full-time job during this, plus this as like a passion project, or was this just your career at the time kind of thing?
Well, we did save up money, and we did have to go full-time to get this project to the sufficient state to present on Kickstarter.
Okay, nice. I mean, I was also like impressed as I was going through it. Like, you guys had a lot of detail with all the characters, with the designs of everything that you had. Like, one thing I noticed, like some of the townsfolk that you see, you had guys that were very big or very skinny, but they all had a very distinct, different look. Like nothing. And with the robots, like weren't they like weren't they supposed to be human at one time or something?
Yeah, they used to be human, but now they're almost human.
That's what I was like when I noticed that.
5%, 5%, yes.
I was like, okay, that's different. Like I've experienced many post-apocalyptic games, and this one, your world was very different, and it was like happy in a way, but also there was that darkness that was still there because post-apocalyptic, and I thought that was very impressive. And was it just you? Was it just both of you that did all the coding and all like the designing of the characters?
Yes. My husband did all the coding and animations too. He's an animator for the game, and I did modeling, and everything is absolutely everything in there. Apart from one tree was made by me. We did buy a tree, but then we ended up stripping it down and then making new leaves, and I recolored it. So I don't know if it counts. It's not completely my tree. I can claim this tree. I won't bark at it. It's the wrong tree.
Oh, that's cool though. No, I mean, like early on in the world, you had a giant robot that you see very early on. Like I thought that was also very interesting because it posed so many more questions too. Because you just have a giant head, you don't have a body, and then it's like you lost the body at some point, and just the idea that you were presenting here, it did leave me with a lot of questions about this world, and I thought it was very interesting what you guys had created.
That's what we wanted to have. We want to, have a complex world that will suck you right in. I mean, the game isn't too long, but we want to explain so much in this kind of compressed time frame that we could, present to you, because we're such a small team. I mean, it's just me and my husband, so we can't really make a, 20-hour long run through game. But I mean, what we can do is saturate the world that we have to the point where you are still feeling that something is going on, something complex is going on, and that you're still having fun, playing in this universe that we have.
I'm always I like shorter games. I play a lot. So I always like games that are like, I like where we are now as a generation when it comes to gamers, as like we're okay with the short 3-hour games, 5-hour games. Like we're happy, especially with indie things, and I think that's a great world to be in that we are right now, where something like this can shine. Because you can see the love that you guys put in this game with the characters, and like I felt like Remy was a very good character. Like she really grew on me. Like I had a hard time right in the beginning, one of the early puzzles where you have to get the robot to not leave. I couldn't figure out what to do at first.
It's the hardest part. I think that's probably we shouldn't have done. The first level is actually.
Oh no, that wasn't on you.
Well, I mean, we did add a lot of hints into it, and but because it is a complex puzzle, it has layers, and I think it's very cool because of that. Because I mean, you do need to perform a certain amount of actions in the correct order. But I mean, they're pretty logical, I think, and but it isn't an easiest puzzle. I think it's the most difficult one in the game, actually.
I wasn't thinking straight. It's the way I put it. Like I actually came by the solution by accident, so it wasn't even. I wasn't cheating yet. I hadn't, but I just was messing around. And I was like, "Oh, okay," and it worked, and he couldn't, and then it just went through correctly. But yeah, I was completely just messing by accident.
But then it's not a very difficult puzzle. I guess if you can just wing it like that.
Oh no! I mean, later on, like when I got like the near end of the game, I was starting to use more logic. Like, okay, I see this item I can pick up, so I need to pick up this item, use this item. But again, I don't play adventure games, so my brain wasn't thinking of like, you might want to move this pillar, you might want to grab this item. Like my brain wasn't thinking. It was just collect everything you can, and then maybe just hold on to it and see what happens. Because that's just how my brain was working for this. And one of the other things I wanted to ask you is, are you into post-apocalyptic games? Like, what made you choose post-apocalyptic for this game?
I think it's the whole setting. Okay, the setting itself is just so what we do. I mean, that's just like my art style, basically.
Okay.
So I'm very much into like Ray Bradbury and his books, and older fantasy writer. It's not fantasy, sci-fi writers. So I really enjoy those types of universe that are a little bit of retro, So I think that's why we had this post-apocalyptic style. in the end. I think it's just natural. It came just naturally. I'm just, you're the first one who asked me this question, so I have to think, on my feet. But this is probably the best answer I can find.
It was nice to see a post-apocalyptic that wasn't, like, your world wasn't depressing, which was nice. Okay. Like, I'm used to things of Fallout where this was a world where you see people thriving, at least thriving enough in a city, they're surviving, they have what they need, they're just trying to figure out a mystery. And that was a nice, different take on people suffering and life being miserable.
Kapia is an optimistic game, I believe. Rennie is just so lively, and she wants to bring good to this universe, and Stefan is just a good guy, in general. So I think it turned out quite optimistic.
It did. And like as the game progressed, I felt like the story was really grabbing me too, which was nice. Okay. Like you did get me very invested later on, especially once I understood what was happening. Like you guys dealt with a lot of like the interesting concept. Like early on in the first town, the first area, you see eyeballs around like the machine, and I really like where you went with that as the game progressed. I thought that was very interesting, and it made me think a lot, which I liked.
I like how it unfolds. I also like how it turned out with the unfolding part, because you don't get everything at the very beginning. By the way, there is an interesting thing about those eyes. Those are actually real human eyes from our backers. We had this pledge on Kickstarter, so we've taken a picture of their eye and we put it as texture inside of that eyeball, so it's real people looking at you.
That is cool. That is really cool.
I think so too.
It is. It's always fun when I think you can take a community and give something from that community and put into your creation.
Oh yeah. Oh, I love having people involved in our project. Not just because of backing me or something like that. Not just because of that reason, but because they're helping with an advice, and they are helping with their involvement and the way they react. I watch them react to certain things, so it really makes a game better in the end. Like with those robots, you've seen how they're basically the same robot, but they look different because of their modifications. And that came from Kickstarter backers as well. They had this option of adding modification to a robot. And so we have those eyes, from our Kickstarter backers looking at you, and then you have robots that our backers designed walking those streets. I think it's really neat because I remember each model and how I made it, and I remember a person who contributed to that particular tier, and I think it's just it's a very warming game for me because of this experience.
Which makes sense. I was like, the robots were creepy but cool, like with the mouse, and they were different. It was very different than what you normally would see in a game, and I like that. Oh, and where did the company name come from?
Oh, it's two of us, so it's two of us for two of us. No, it's not a baseball term.
No, you're good. I just wanted to ask that because I saw it, and that's why I kind of figured it probably was something of that nature.
You guessed right.
What is your favorite genre of game?
Oh, it's an adventure. That's easy.
Okay.
Yeah, that's why we chose to make an adventure. It's for me and for my husband. It's our favorite genre of the game. Always been.
Okay, what is your favorite game of all time?
Favorite game of all time? There are quite a few, and I don't want to say Grim Fandango, but I probably will.
That's fine. I have never played that, by the way.
I haven't played it for a while, so since I was like much younger than I am now.
Yeah. Those are the games that stick with us the most. Like one of my favorite games is Chrono Trigger, one that I played when I was probably 10 years old or so, and I still replay it. But it's a lot of that stuff that sticks with you forever.
There are quite a few cool games that came out recently, and I liked Firewatch, for example.
Good.
Yeah, it's a good game. Something that I enjoy. 3D adventures. They're all good. Normally people who make 3D adventures, they have this, especially indie, you have this personal involvement in their creation, so you can really feel the artist. I always tell people that they know me better than I know myself because they played my game, because so many personal things in there, that probably I can't even understand as well as my players could.
I also noticed there were no dogs in this, but you did have the cat that we mentioned earlier. Are you a cat person over dogs, I assume?
No, I'm a dog person. I have a dog. I have Jack Russell, so.
Okay. I got a pit bull black lab somewhere around here. So I'm mostly a cat person. But okay, I was just curious because you have the robotic dog that you meet very early on that's around in the game. That's what made me think of.
I'm a pet person. I like animals in general. You just make me choose over dogs and cats, but I will prefer dogs. But we also have a bunny in there, so.
I liked how you had so much robotic animals too, which it kind of like was a different take. I felt in a post-apocalyptic where you had the robot dog. You had people doing things to create life, and that was I thought an interesting take too. And the world felt very organic and mechanical at the same time, where things are really integrated, which I feel like that was kind of your theme throughout the game.
Exactly, that was exactly this theme throughout the game. That was you caught it absolutely on point, absolutely, because in the very beginning we start from robotic versus bionicle, and that's of course East and the West that we're describing. So, and in the end, they're all communicating within the dome. So you also meet robotic and bionicle inside that dome. So you were completely on point there.
Okay, and I think you had 2 mini games in this, if I remember correctly. The first one you introduced to is the boxing one.
Yes.
I failed the first time on that.
It's okay. It's fine.
Well, I won my first match. I lost my next 2. Then he's like, "You're gonna do the dishes now." She's like, "No," and then I'm like, "Okay." And then I was able to just replay them, but it was. I don't know what I did, but it worked. But it was cool to see. I thought it was interesting that you guys had something different gameplay in there, just to kind of throw you off. I felt, for me, throw me off balance in the beginning because I wasn't expecting that.
And we also had
the darts.
Darts, and with Robbie, you had another mini game there.
Don't remember. Are you talking about the arachnoid, or in the very beginning with the computer?
No, where he had to wash the floors.
Oh yeah, that was cool. I was amused by that.
But they're not difficult. I mean, those mini games are, apart from the boxing one, which is also not. I mean, if you beat it from the second time, I think it's pretty. It's good. I mean, it's great. We had to balance it for so long. I mean, our testers were so good to us. I mean, the first version that we had, people actually played it for 30 minutes.
Okay.
And we believed that they couldn't beat it, and then we just made it simpler and simpler. And I think it's pretty good stage at what it's right. I don't think it needs to be.
No, it was fine.
Yeah, I think so.
It's just when you're rushing to beat it that's.
Yeah.
Well, I just got done playing Star Fox Adventure this past week, and I was rushing through that game to get it done because it would never end. And then I started Kapia, and it was something much. This was gentler and nicer to play. It's not from 2002. Oh, I just because I know even early on you had a news report that I saw where it's talking about the East and the West, and I just kept, like I was saying earlier, got so many vibes that I thought were very cool.
Right.
And you start off talking about the revolution. You have these characters early on in the first section talking about how they, and I thought that was all very interesting. And then you have very simple stuff like one part of making a sandwich.
Contrast.
Even though the game, you had a bigger plot going on, you had so many little things, and I thought it worked well, especially when you're playing as Remy. It worked, the way everything kind of molded together, I thought fit very well and was very interesting. Kept me entertained.
That's cool.
And I saw you had a lot of different voice actors that you got for this.
Yeah, we did. We had quite a few.
Were they professional people? Were they people who Kickstarted that you met, or was it people that you just...
No, they're professional actors, all of them. We did have to budget, so we used a lot of. We actually went through Fiverr and found people that we liked, but they're all professional actors, and some of them super good, and some of them I saw rise in price tremendously over those years. So I was like, whoa, what did I get? I mean, this guy was charging $5 for I don't remember how much, but 50 words, okay, whatever. And now he's charging 100 for the same, and so okay, I got a great deal. What can I say? I can choose my actors, right?
No, everything was good. The voiceovers all were very, very good. There was no, listen, you were almost a Jill sandwich for a dumb game, or a good game if you ever played that for bad voice acting. But there was nothing that it all felt pretty real. Nothing felt stupid or very of that of when I think of some games, like Resident Evil, for example. But no, I thought the voice acting was all very well. I thought it worked together well. It sold the story well. Nothing felt amateurish with that. And all the characters felt alive.
Good. That's how it should be.
Doesn't happen all the time, though. Hell, I've played some big budget games with terrible voices sometimes.
I don't know. They should look for stars. I mean, they should. I don't know. I just went through we did casting, and then I looked at people and I heard their voices, and I just imagined how they would fit in the game, and then selected the one. One guy he already went through casting, and I was like, okay, you fit perfectly for our character. So I sent him a picture of a character, and he was like, what did you do? What? This is me. And he had this avatar of like a flower or something like that. I didn't see him at all.
That's cool.
That was pretty neat.
But I felt I really liked the themes that you had in this game. One thing I wanted to say is, like, for the loading screens. At first, I was going to ask you. I saw it in the credits, but you used, was it fan art that people sent in them?
No, we had a few. I actually threw out an advertisement, and I was like, okay, if you have a kid and you want to participate in this, just let us know, and we'll send you a theme. And that's how we got our kids. They were volunteered kids. That's how.
Okay.
It's we couldn't do like a fan art per se, because each picture it represents a level. So it does have to have something certain in it. But of course, when we did those pictures when we gave them to the kids, I mean the assignment, we didn't necessarily had the level yet. So we had to come up with an idea of how to explain to them what to create or without them seeing that. And for example, the first one, I don't know. Do you have one that you remember, and maybe?
I can't remember what section it was, but there was one that I thought it was a drawing of the girl Remy, but it was like she looked older, maybe like more like 13. Just the way they drew it with the red hair, I thought it was like it looked really cool.
I
can't remember where it was and what exactly was happening.
I remember this one. This one is by Sonia, and she was assigned to. So this was, quote unquote, this a girl is talking to a big.
Yes.
And that's what she came up with, and then I just, she understood the assignment perfectly, and that's how it went for all our children. I mean, they're just so natural. I think it was one of the funnest parts working on Kapia, working with kids. I mean, it was so neat. And we did it because, I mean, first of all, we thought it was a good idea from the very beginning because, we have Rennie and she likes to draw things, and we have those crayons in there, and we thought it would fit so nicely. And I'm happy to see that everyone really likes it.
Remy was a very good character. Both Remy and Stefan were. I liked Remy more just because I liked the innocence of a child and the way that you have her going on this, in this world and traveling, trying to do it, find her grandfather. And just the way, like, you have things that are happening that are pretty bad in some senses or getting there, like, but she doesn't really, I don't know, just the way that it worked and the innocence of it I really liked. And there were a couple times where I'm like, okay, this could go bad, nothing happened. Like, okay, but because it's not that type of game, but just kind of, that's how it felt. But it was very interesting.
Good.
And one of the other things that I want to mention or ask about, let's see here. No, I do want to say I really did like the loading screens. I was saying, I want to say that it was very creepy seeing all the eyes and lips and ears of the machine around. Like, that was creepy as hell, but I also liked how you had that, and I did like the whole theme of biological mechanics, especially as the game progresses, like kind of where it was going. I don't want to talk about, but I liked it.
Yeah.
I did have a question. In the very first room that you're in, is there any point to spilling the dirt of the plant? Like, is there a puzzle? Like, you can spill dirt, and then the vacuum cleaner comes and picks it up, and I thought maybe that was part of the puzzle, and I kept doing it, but nothing was happening, other than he cleaned up all the dirt.
No, if you won't do it, you can go through the puzzle. You need that, yeah, because you distract the vacuum cleaner. Otherwise, he creates like, okay, so you just can't go through the puzzle without that.
Okay.
I'm trying to formulate without the spoiler, and I'm failing at it tremendously.
I know. I mean, if this game was older, then I would be more. But since it just came out, I don't want to put anything for it isn't in the first beginning of the game for people because it's a game that I think people should experience. Do you like walking sims? Like you mentioned Firewatch earlier.
I don't think I had the chance to play it. To be honest, I haven't played so many games lately because, I mean, we've been just creating our own. And it was just complete, in between finding funds and doing like some marketing, it just takes all your time.
Mm-hmm.
So hopefully now I can catch up and, just play more games. And besides, you know what we did? We played quite a few demos from people or from our indie friends. But that's probably in the occasional Firewatch here and there.
Do you have ideas what your next project is going to be yet?
Oh yeah, we do. We do have ideas, and it was actually it was already there, and it's a very well thought out idea at this point. But we need to just polish it, finish it off. The DNA of the game is already there, but it needs to be born already in. But yeah.
Okay, and last question I want to ask you is how good did it feel to finally let the game out into the world? Like, how did that feel? Or I should say, how did that feel?
Yeah, that's a bit because it's weird. It's so weird seeing. I can never get used to seeing my game on someone else's like television or computer monitor. It's just so weird because I'm just so used to seeing it right in front of me. But I mean, how long has it been? It's been 5 days, so I mean,
yes.
It's all very fresh. Very fresh indeed.
That's good, though.
It is good. It is good. It needs to see the world. I mean, and because we're indie, it's difficult to market. So, I mean, every bit helps. And if you play a game, and I'm like addressing everybody, you guys, if you play a game and you like it, do tell about it to your friends, family members at the table, family dinner. I don't know, wherever you can, Facebook. Because I mean, that's how we do it. I mean, there is no other way for us to spread the word. We don't have a publisher, so that's the deal.
I'll be mentioning. Well, hopefully, people listen to this. Some people will take a look at this. Plus, I will be promoting it for you too.
Thank you very much.
It was
really
very interesting. I mean, it was. I wasn't sure I was having fun, but I wasn't really sure what I was doing. But as the game progressed, I liked the story that you created. I liked what it was. I thought it was I like how you did a good job foreshadowing things. I mean, I'm not the greatest at adventure game, but it was something that's a very good, unique experience. I think it's definitely worth people enjoying. I did laugh at the fish part too. When there was a part I had to go get a fish, and that did amuse me. So little things.
Mm-hmm. We've put a lot of those little things in there, and I'm just so excited to hear this feedback, because I mean 5 days I haven't heard much feedback yet. But I mean, apart from reviews which are coming up and they're very good. I mean, so far we hadn't had a bad one. Hope this trend continues, but you know how that goes. But still, very positive. I mean, that's very good. That's very heartwarming.
You always have that with people. You always have some people that just don't like something for whatever reason, even though they just don't.
Oh yeah. I understand that. I'm almost ready to hear.
No, you guys made something good though. It isn't. I didn't run any glitches while I was playing. There was nothing that didn't make sense. I mean, yes, I was using a guide when I could with YouTube, but there was nothing. It wasn't the game's fault. It was just me. But it was, everything flowed well.
That's
it wasn't
good. We did test it very thoroughly, and we had a lot of testers, and we spent 6 months in testing.
Okay.
I mean, it was a very long time, and we just, sitting there replaying it all the time. But I'm glad we did it. So now you don't run into glitches and it doesn't ruin your experience.
No, there was nothing. There were no real hiccups or anything. There was nothing. I mean, I think the only thing there might have been graphical hitch when you pull an item out, it went through maybe a piece, but that I don't.
Oh, yeah.
But even then, that doesn't. To me, it doesn't bother me. I mean, I play AAA games that have worse issues than that aren't open world. So it was fine. It was good.
Yeah, if you didn't have a bug, that's amazing. That's awesome.
No, it didn't give me any problems at all. I was able to play through it just fine. It installed just fine. It didn't. I mean, how I give examples, there were some games that I bought on Steam, like Legacy of Kain 2, Soul Reaver 2, or however you pronounce that, and the game just completely froze. So I mean, yeah, that was really, I couldn't play it. It wouldn't work at all. But you didn't have any of that. Your game worked perfectly.
And I mean, I'm very happy that it turned out this way, because I mean, we really worked hard on it. I mean, 6 months. It was 6 months of hard work, and I am so grateful to our testers who helped us so much with it. I mean, they went through this game, and we went through the game multiple times, and they did a very good job. And I think we should be continuing this trend, because I like how you guys are able to enjoy it immediately without having things fall or I don't know, freeze or whatever.
And it is nice that we live in an era where people can do what you guys did, where you don't have a publisher and you're able to just put the game out there through Steam or in GOG and not have to, not like the old days where everything had to be printed on discs and shipped out. It's nice that we're in this world now.
Yeah, I'm very happy for this opportunity to be heard, because we've written the story as well, so it is really our baby. So it's nice to see it walk on its own.
All right, and do you have any last things you want to say?
I just want to thank all of you for supporting us and supporting your developers and giving us this opportunity to share our vision with you. It's a great privilege that we really cherish. We know that it's this opportunity doesn't come to everybody, and we really appreciate what you've done for us. And we will try to make good games for you and continue doing that for as long as we last. That sounded ominous.
No, but that also kind of fits the theme of the game too. So
chair, I won't get up.
Oh, you're fine. I think the same way. I just haven't gone there yet in this conversation. But there will be a link in the show notes for this game for Steam, because I prefer Steam. So there will be a link for the show notes. Definitely go check it out. If you like adventure games, it's something that I think people will enjoy. Even for a guy who doesn't play adventure games, I had fun. So
that's very important. Seriously.
So you will see a link to her game. And if you enjoyed this episode, go listen to we have a few other interviews and tons of other episodes that we've done. Definitely go check all that out. Please follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and on YouTube. We're only audio, but we are on YouTube. Want to give a shout out to my awesome intro and outro, courtesy of Helena at Health Hasphere. You can follow her on TikTok. You will see a link in the show notes also. And we have a Patreon for little dollar. You can help us out. We do a voting each month. You can definitely go do that. And last thing I want to say is give a shout out to my buddy Bill Tucker, who does the Gamer Looks at 40 podcast. Definitely go check him out and support him. You will see a link in the show notes to his podcast. And thank you again for coming on, Anna, for doing this.
My pleasure. Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
And thank you for bringing Kapia into the world. You got me to play an adventure game again. That doesn't happen often. So. All right, and we will see everybody next time. Bye, everybody.
Bye.